Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we are unpacking a serious controversy that's stirring the waters of South African politics, and this one hits right at the heart of our democracy, our economy, and our sovereignty as a nation. The Economic Freedom Fighters, or EFF, have strongly condemned the inclusion of billionaire Johann Rupert in a high-level South Africa, United States delegation, and their outrage has sparked intense debate across political and civil society circles. But before we get into the full details of what this all means for South Africa, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. What do you think about billionaires being involved in sensitive government delegations? Let's talk about it. Now let's get into it. At the center of the storm is Johann Rupert, the powerful business magnate behind luxury goods conglomerate Richemont and investment giant Remgro. He's not just one of the richest men in the country. Rupert is arguably one of the most influential figures in the South African economy, with deep links to banking, media, agriculture, and manufacturing. But it's that same influence that the EFF says is a threat to democracy. Recently, Rupert was reportedly included in a delegation engaging with counterparts in the United States to discuss bilateral relations, investment opportunities, and international cooperation. On paper, that sounds pretty standard: South Africa looking to attract investment, strengthen ties with global economic powers, and secure its place in international trade. But the EFF is sounding the alarm, accusing the government of colluding with white monopoly capital and allowing backroom deals to override democratic institutions and public accountability. In a fiery statement, the EFF didn't mince words. They called Rupert's involvement a betrayal of democratic ideals and warned that the inclusion of unelected billionaires in official state business effectively erodes the power of parliament and the people who elected it. For the EFF, this is more than just a bad look. It's a symptom of a much deeper problem, where powerful business interests continue to dominate politics from behind closed doors, without any democratic oversight. Now, let's unpack the symbolism here. Johann Rupert, in the EFF's eyes, is the embodiment of white monopoly capital, a term they use to describe the entrenched economic dominance of a minority elite in post-apartheid South Africa. They argue that Rupert and others like him have benefited from generational wealth built on apartheid-era privilege, and that their continued presence in elite political spaces undermines the transformation and redistribution goals set out in South Africa's democratic constitution. This isn't the first time the EFF has targeted Rupert. He's been a frequent subject of Julius Malema's public speeches, often depicted as the shadowy puppet master behind both the ANC and the DA. But the timing of this latest outburst is particularly important. We're just coming off the 2024 elections, which shook the political foundations of the country. No party emerged with a majority. Coalitions are fragile. The electorate is angry. And trust in political institutions is at an all-time low. Into this volatile political landscape walks Johann Rupert, not as an elected official or public servant, but as a private businessman wielding influence at the highest levels. To many South Africans, that's an outrage. To others, it's just business as usual. But let's also talk about what this reveals about the blurred lines between state and capital. Over the years, South Africa has seen numerous examples of business interests steering political decisions, whether it's Eskom contracts, mining rights, or influence in state-owned enterprises. The problem, the EFF argues, is not just Rupert himself, it's the entire system that enables and protects the dominance of the super-rich while ordinary citizens struggle with poverty, unemployment, and collapsing public services. The EFF is calling for a strict separation between state functions and private interests, demanding transparency and accountability in all diplomatic delegations. They insist that only democratically elected leaders should speak on behalf of South Africans in international forums. Allowing Rupert and others like him to do so, they say, amounts to selling out the soul of the country. And this controversy raises even deeper questions about the role of business in a democratic society. Should billionaires be allowed to influence public policy? Is it fair to equate private wealth with public leadership? And who gets to decide who represents South Africa on the global stage? Critics of the EFF might say this is political grandstanding, an attempt to score points by targeting a high-profile figure. But whether you agree with their politics or not, the concerns they raise are legitimate. In a country with staggering inequality and a painful history of economic exclusion, any appearance of corporate overreach can quickly become a political lightning rod. We also have to consider the global context. Around the world, countries are grappling with how to balance the influence of big money and corporate interests with the needs of their citizens. From the United States to the European Union, debates are raging about lobbying, campaign finance, and the growing wealth gap. South Africa is not immune to these global trends, in fact, we are living them every day. So where does this leave us? It's clear that South Africa is at a crossroads. Our democracy is still young, still fragile, and still struggling to deliver on the promises of 1994. For many, the sight of billionaires like Johann Rupert sitting at the table with world powers feels like a betrayal of the struggle. For others, it's seen as a necessary evil in a globalized economy. Either way, the public has a right to know what deals are being made in their name. As this story continues to unfold, it's important to keep asking the hard questions. Who benefits from these international delegations? What is being promised behind closed doors? And what role, if any, should unelected business leaders play in shaping the future of South Africa? The EFF may not have all the answers, but they've certainly reignited an important conversation about democracy, accountability, and who really holds the power in our country. And whether you support them or not, their warning is one we can't afford to ignore. That's it for today's video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Johann Rupert's inclusion in a USSA delegation was justified, or was it a step too far? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it insightful. Thank you for watching, and as always, see you next time.